going to pull from the agenda.
Where are we putting this one? Any comments on this?
Yes, I believe it violated our procedure policy and the placement of it on the agenda. Discuss and consider approval of the audit performed by Weaver and Tidwell. Any questions on that?
Are we getting a presentation? Oh, this is Weaver and Tidwell, so that's not the internal. So never mind.
Okay. Number 18. See the annual report from the Duncanville Community and Economic Development Corporation, and we should have a couple present at the meeting. Do you have any questions for them, the board?
Mayor,
Yes.
go back to 16 for a minute.
Okay.
Why are we pulling that? I don't understand what the procedure is that we're pulling.
We go back to an agenda item that we had in February, where there was a consensus of the council that we were interested in having a meeting with the county at that time. And our rules of procedure says that it takes 90 days to bring that back, and it hasn't been 90 days.
Okay, I do have
And
comments on
also,
that.
and also, he didn't actually bring back the same agenda item. The consensus of the council was not to have the meeting with the county at that time.
So you're saying
That was the consensus of the council, and for him to now put it on the agenda, that consensus not to do it is still in place, and he can't override the council's last decision on this. It has to come back as an agenda item after 90 days and ask for a consensus of whether to meet with the county again. Does that make sense?
so it has to be 90 days before it can
That's
come
what our
back
rules
up?
of procedure say.
Okay, is there a time limit, on this thing that the county has placed on this? I mean, as far as their funding that they said that they would
Not to my
come up
knowledge.
with?
Well, let's just ask the council.
Okay, well, that's what I was wondering. Is the county,
Is there a time limit?
Yes, there is a year timeline in the standpoint of the regional transportation funding.
right?
There's a year period in which the funding basically can be pulled back from the regional transportation council.
But we're not in danger of losing it if we wait. Right now, I mean,
We are in.
where's our timeline?
You said a year.
We got that approved.
Well, actually, the timeline is like this month.
No.
They have an opportunity that they could pull it off, pull the funds.
We got the funds a year ago, and we have a year to start expending those funds, and we have not expended them yet. But at the RTC's option, they can pull the funds after the year.
So it's been a year?
It has.
And let me go back to the mayor's point. This was an agenda item. This was not an agenda item. This was on a notes for us to say to consider a workshop. Secondly, we never voted on that. That was just the consensus of the council. Therefore, we have no vote to show that the council said no to hearing it on the agenda.
Our rules of procedure do not refer back to a vote. It refers to a prevailing side. And the prevailing side can bring it back at any time. The non-prevailing side has to wait 90 days.
In order to be a prevailing side, you have to vote, and we did not vote, so
No,
it's
you
not a
don't.
prevailing side.
No, you don't.
No,
There was a consensus taken, and if,
Let's get a
When we did
legal
the
opinion.
consensus, we didn't do it individually, I don't think.
if you had had the right to have a workshop, you would have called it. You didn't.
I
You
didn't
went,
call it.
you went to a district meeting and called it.
No,
Because
I-
you understood that the council said, no, we're not ready to have a meeting with the county.
No, the council is skating around this particular project. The council don't want the project only because it was a former council member who was talking about the project.
That has nothing to do
It is,
with
it
it.
is very true, most of the truth, let's just go ahead and tell the truth on this. In addition to, this is a reasonable
Okay,
project. and we
that
should have an
actually,
opportunity. Let me
just a
finish
minute,
this
no,
way.
I'm going to stop you there, just a minute. You're not going to impugn the integrity of council members by making statements that say why we are voting against something. I know why I would vote against it. It has nothing at all to do with the previous council member.
Well,
So
it
don't-
has been said. It has been said.
Oh, it's not going to be said again here
It
tonight.
has been said, but I will still tell you that this item, to the point of saying 90 days, that is not true, because this item has not been on the agenda in this fashion. Presentation, yes. From the county, yes, it has been on the agenda. An agenda to vote on the project or resolution has never set foot on this agenda. And the only time it was on the agenda again, it was in a workshop setting, where again, it was a consensus but never a vote.
Okay.
I'm not the prevailing
Now, if
side.
you're
because-
separating them-
Let me finish. I'm not the prevailing side because it hadn't been voted for me to be a prevailing side.
If you want to separate them, I'm going to pull the contract anyway because our city attorney has not given this new contract. And I have some very serious concerns about whether this contract protects us from having to pay. And until our attorney has an opportunity to look at the contract, I'm not going to vote on something to approve it.
Has the attorney seen the contract? Have you seen this contract?
Not this one, no. In
Why
May
wasn't the
of-
attorney given this contract before?
She was
it's put
treated
on
in
our
her packet
agenda?
like everybody else.
When I got it last week in an email, I was at the house, saw it, and asked my secretary Claire to email it to me that very day.
And an email, and who did you get it from?
I got an email from Tony.
So the contract was written by a county? This contract was written by the county?
Yes.
Now, I did review this contract about a year ago.
Yes.
Um,
Last Tuesday, a week ago.
And that was
I
when
got
the
it from
city
Tony
was
in
paying
the
the car.
afternoon, right. And I called my secretary Claire and follow up on it. I said, print this out for me and send it to Julie.
Can we make it a policy that contracts like this don't go on the agenda until the city attorney has had a chance to review them? And, you know, maybe she had it in time, maybe she didn't, but she had other things going on.
Sure.
So I think that just should be our policy.
Right now, it's not a policy, and the city attorney received it. And
But do you think it's-
correct me if I'm wrong, which makes a whole lot of sense to me. The only thing that's pulled from this was you went from paying something to paying nothing.
Yes.
And if you can't see that, that's the only part of the, so if it takes that long to read it, help me. But I'm gonna ask you, did you get a chance to read this?
No, I don't normally go through every resolution, ordinance, or contract that's on the agenda unless I'm asked to review it. I don't want to spend your money without someone asking me.
So unless it's a consensus of the group, then if they have a problem with it, then they want to make sure from then that you try to read it, to delay it, or to throw it off. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stand and lose a project that's good for Duncanville. We need to at least hear what the project is. That's all I challenge this council to hear, is at least hear what the project is. Vote it down if you don't want it, but at least hear it, give the citizens an opportunity to know what the project is.
I've already made the decision to pull it from the agenda tonight.
Mayor, how can
If you want
you just told,
to, if
you're
you
the
want to
same one that told
challenge my
me,
decision,
you're the same one that told me that any council member has a right to put anything on the agenda that they like. And now you're going against the rules and policies that we seem to interpret on our own and say, oh, but yes, but if I don't like what you put on there, I have a right to pull it.
No.
I point of order, Mayor. That goes to, what you said goes to her integrity.
I'm not-
You're saying that she does it at a whim, and she doesn't do this at a whim. She is a thoughtful person. So Mark, you can't turn this personal.
This is not
So
personal.
talk
This is
about
not
the
personal
facts
to
with
me.
her, talk about the rules with her, but don't impugn her integrity.
This is not talking about, this is the fact. The fact is, we have something on the table that needs to be considered. The fact is that no wonder that we choose to not hear what
There's
the
a
facts
process,
are.
Mark. There's a process.
And
You're
I
not going
went
through
through the process. And the
Yeah, well, you got a
is-
process right here, and you're not
The
doing it.
process is you
It's got a
asked for,
process right
that we
now.
can put anything on the agenda that we wish.
and you did
Unless
on
we don't like
February
it.
4th. And that set into operation a procedural policy that applies to that. And this didn't apply when you put the meeting with the county on. Now, if you're saying the next agenda should go, I'm saying there are serious issues that I have with this contract. Number one, I do not believe it protects us from having to pay. In fact, there's some very serious concerns that when it talks about us having to encumber the funds, why do we have to encumber funds if we're not paying? It also says that if it's not put in their budget, they don't have to pay. But yet the contract specifically says that we still owe that full amount. That's what it says, we owe that amount, but then it turns around and says, but the county's gonna pay it for us. But if the county doesn't put it in their budget, they don't have to pay.
Larry, you don't have to argue your point.
So I'm
He's
just
got a
saying-
process to use, and I can't
But
help
what
it
I'm
if you don't
saying
know it.
is, there are problems with this contract that I think our attorney needs to look at.
What you talking about with you? I said, ooh, they was talking about integrity and insulting people, and then you sit around and insult
The
them.
issue here, though, is the fact that if we don't take some kind of action on this thing, we stand to lose these funds that are there and available right now. Well, I heard what you said, but John Wally Price came to that meeting. I wasn't at the meeting, but
He's
from what I
right behind you,
understand,
he's with the county to tell us, right in front of us.
and these people have just said that we're gonna lose these funds. And if we lose
I'm
those
not
funds,
worried about the road
then that's gonna
project
kill the
being
whole
lost.
project.
There's plenty of support for it if they want to do that road project. And
From
it's
where?
completely, it's not just about the money for me. And I think.
well, it was for me originally.
Okay.
That's the reason I voted
There's
against this
also
to start
an
with.
eminent domain issue. And I saw no attempt by the county to work with us on a different direction for the road. They've made no attempts at all to say, let's see how we can spare your homestead. They have this plan, they say, we're moving forward, we don't care what you want. And the minute you sign a contract approving them paying for it, you're giving them full right to do whatever they want to in Duncanville. And it doesn't even, the contract even says they can take as much as they want. That if they even decide they need more than what the contract says, we're gonna let them do it.
Well, I'm totally against using city funds for eminent domain, that's for
That's-
sure. But if
That's
if-
what this is
if
giving them the
what
power
I'm
to do.
hearing that happened at the meeting with John White Price was there, because I wasn't there, and I don't know. I'm relying on what Mr. Cook has told me and what other people have told me, that the county is supposed to pick up the tabs for the eminent domain, and the county is supposed to pick up the tabs for the
No.
deficit that the city didn't have to pay for this thing, as our past city manager had told us we didn't have the funds. Then it's a win-win situation for the city if they're going to pick up all the tabs for us.
No.
Why would we not be for
What you're saying is
something?
eminent domain's okay in Duncanville if I'm not paying for it.
Well, no,
That's what you're saying.
I'm not going to spend city funds for eminent domain.
Well,
No.
no, but you'll let the county.
If the county wants to pay for it, it's the
Do you
county.
pay county taxes?
Do what?
Do you pay taxes
But I
to the
think they
county?
made arrangements, from what I heard at the town hall meeting, that arrangements were made with the people who are giving up their
Their
houses
property.
or part of their property. That's what I heard at the town hall meeting. So when you say it's
There's
being
no arrangement.
taken, well, and then we're making a lot of, which kind of goes back to hearing what the county has to say, because we're making a lot of speculations, but we keep refusing to hear from the county.
But we have Commissioner Price in the room tonight. I'd like to just at least hear some comments from him around this.
I'm sorry.